What's going on, everybody? Liam here, Everything NYJ, back with another video for you. Jets general manager Joe Douglas has met with the media at the NFL Combine, so I'm going to break down some of the more important things that he has said, just give my thoughts and reactions to some of those things. Joe Douglas started off the press conference by announcing that the New York Jets had a fantastic visit with free agent quarterback Derek Carr, claims that he really likes his resume, but he also really likes Derek Carr, the person, says that he's very comfortable in his own skin. Joe Douglas, it really seems like Derek Carr is a Joe Douglas guy. Seems like somebody that Joe Douglas would really like to have starting for the New York Jets. Use words like high work effort. Just seems like Joe Douglas genuinely likes Derek Carr. They are going to be having a second meeting sometime during the combine. So that's going to be interesting to see if any little notes or details get leaked out from that. But it really does just seem like Derek Carr, like I said, is a Joe Douglas guy. But Joe Douglas also mentioned that he will be exploring the veteran quarterback market. And it's really interesting to note that the Packers general manager stated that him and Green Bay Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers have not spoken since the end of the season. But Joe Douglas definitely says that he wants a quarterback decision to be made sooner rather than later, which this could possibly be Joe Douglas and the New York Jets telling Green Bay, hey, if you want to get rid of Aaron Rodgers, if you want to trade him, then you better hurry up. They don't want this thing to be dragging out past the combine. Joe Douglas would not go into detail if they offered Derek Carr a contract or not, which obviously they are not allowed to say. But getting off the quarterback topic here for a second, there was a couple other things that Joe Douglas went into. Just starting off with Dwayne Brown, says that Dwayne Brown did have shoulder surgery, but has not determined whether or not he wants to come back and play another season, especially with the New York Jets. But this also could be depending on the quarterback. It could be, does Dwayne Brown like somebody like a Derek Carr or an Aaron Rodgers? Does he believe in the future with the New York Jets? I mean, Dwayne Brown, he could have retired last year, played through an injury because he saw something with this New York Jets team. He likes all the young talent on the team, and he believes that the New York Jets could be Super Bowl contenders, especially with a veteran quarterback behind center. So that's gonna be really interesting to see whether or not Dwayne Brown does want to come back or not. He's gonna be 38 years old. I think he's making $11 million. Um, we could really use the depth on the offensive line. Everybody saw what happened with the offensive line last year. Last year, I don't know if Dwayne Brown is going to be coming back and starting. He could possibly be a swing tackle or just a really good guy to have for depth on the offensive line. The New York Jets need depth on the offensive line like crazy. I've been saying this for a very long time. Getting into my Mekhi Becton a little bit, Joe Douglas says that they will not make a decision to pick up Mekhi Becton's fifth-year option until after the NFL Combine, which is not a surprise here. I don't think that, if you're the New York Jets, how can you possibly pick up Mekhi Becton's fifth-year option? You can't. You can't do it. I mean, he hasn't played in 2 years. He came back last year, and he was throwing up on the sideline during training camp. He was on one knee. He was not in football shape. With that being said, Mekhi Becton looks to be in phenomenal shape this year. He's obviously taking his rehabbing very serious because he knows that this is possibly his last crack at playing in the NFL. I don't know what other team is going to want him, especially after not playing in 2 years. The thing with Mekhi Becton, his rookie year, he was also injured as well. He hurt his shoulder a couple of times. He has missed a couple of games his rookie year as well. So I'm really excited for Mekhi Becton. I'm really pumped to have him back. I think it's going to be huge for the offensive line getting Mekhi Becton back. Just hopefully he can stay in phenomenal shape. But he's set to make $13 million if they do pick up his fifth-year option. But this is 100% a prove-it year for Mekhi Becton. There's no way that they can blindly give him that kind of money and pick up his fifth-year option without at least seeing how he plays in this upcoming season. Also, with that being said, if you're the New York Jets, I don't think that there's a situation that you could just hand Mekhi Becton that starting job. I think that, going into the draft, you have to have offensive tackle, you know, ranked very highly on your list of needs if you're Joe Douglas. Um, Getting into the defense a little bit, Joe Douglas says that contract talks are going very well with Quinnen Williams, and this is very important to note because the New York Jets and Joe Douglas have to extend Quinnen Williams. They have to pick up that fifth-year option, and they have to give him a huge contract, probably 22 to 25 million dollars a year. But listen, Quinnen Williams, he earned the contract, and this is going to be huge. Just looking at it from the eyes of Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, Brees Hall, AVT, because Quinnen Williams is a homegrown talent, and we have yet to see Joe Douglas give out that marquee signing. He hasn't given out that big contract to one of the Jets' homegrown talents. So this is going to prove that Joe Douglas is not afraid to overspend for a homegrown talent. And it's not really overspending. It's just paying what the guy is worth. He's the second best defensive lineman in all of football, sitting right behind an Aaron Donald. And when Robert Saleh came here, he said the same thing. He said that his goal is to get these players paid. So if you're Joe Douglas, you have to pay Quinnen Williams. Quinnen Williams has threatened to sit out. He says that he will not go to OTAs if he does not have a contract in place yet. And listen, he's done all the right things. He's kept his mouth quiet. He had like 11, 12 sacks on the year. He's doing everything right. He's not a problem. He's not a pain in the butt. Somebody like a Jamal Adams where you feel like you're forced to pay for him and then obviously just trade him away. Quinnen Williams is a really good football player. He's somebody that you need to re-sign if you're the New York Jets. Um, Joe Douglas's job is 100% depending on this. Not saying that if a deal doesn't get done that he will be fired, but it will definitely fuel gasoline to that fire if you are a candidate to have Joe Douglas fired. If you're in that boat, then absolutely. It's just I don't know what else to say. You have to get Quinnen Williams done. It's a priority for us Jets fans, and it should be for the New York Jets as well. Um, Getting into the cap a little bit, Joe Douglas feels that the New York Jets have a lot of cap flexibility. Says that no restructures will be done until after the combine, which that just makes sense. But there's a lot of players on this team that could possibly be restructured or they're out the door. Guys like Corey Davis, Carl Lawson, Braxton Berrios, even CJ Mosley are just a few guys that come to mind when you think that A, they need to have their contract restructured or they're going to be out the door. Starting off with Corey Davis, I like Corey Davis, but let's be honest, when he's on the field because he's normally injured or just not playing whatever the situation is, then he's always good for a big drop, and he's also very good for a big penalty, at least one per every game. So Corey Davis has just not lived up to that contract, and the New York Jets just can't justify extending somebody like a Corey Davis on that contract. If he wants to add one more year to the contract with less money, then maybe you look at it something like that. Because, guys like Jacoby Myers, they are getting big time contracts. It's not easy to find a decent quality uh, wide receiver one or just a big body wide receiver. I don't know if they want to dip. I don't know if they want to put all of their eggs into the Denzel Mims basket. That doesn't really seem to be like a smart move because Denzel Mims, once again this year, it's either he wasn't dressing, and when he was dressing, he wasn't really having a ton of catches, a lot of drops, a lot of penalties with Denzel Mims as well. So I am kind of hoping that Corey Davis does take that restructure because I think that there is some value to him. He's just not worth what he's making. Same thing with Carl Lawson, $15 million a year for 7 sacks just isn't going to cut it, especially when you have guys on the rise like Michael Clemens, Jermaine Johnson II. They're going to have to get a deal with Huff done at some point. That's really important too. CJ Mosley, I like him. He is making a lot of money and he is getting up there in age, but he really has been the captain, the voice, and the anchor for the defense. So it's going to be really interesting to see what the New York Jets value somebody like a CJ Mosley at. Braxton Berrios, same thing. Do you want to give out all that money for somebody that's going to pretty much just be returning punts? He had a big role in the offense this year, but it almost seems like Braxton Berrios had a huge role in the offense just because they gave him that extension. They felt like they had to use him. And let's be honest, it was a down year for him. That 2021 season, Braxton Berrios proved that he was a pretty good player, very reliable. A lot of people were even calling him the modern day Wayne Corbett, which I would never go that far as saying, but this could be the last chance for Braxton Berrios. I do feel like he will be back. To be completely honest with you, I think the Jets do like him and they do value him as a punt returner. But let's be honest. We could have somebody like a Bam Knight, Elijah Moore, Brees Hall, somebody like that returning punts. It doesn't have to just be Braxton Berrios. So there is a realistic world that the Jets could be moving on from him. So the last thing I want to talk about is Joe Douglas' views on Zach Wilson, he says, have not changed, but notes that the first and second year did not go as planned, which that's really no surprise there. I mean, what was Joe Douglas realistically going to say about Zach Wilson? You can't come out and say that he sucks, but let's be real. There is no plan for Zach Wilson moving forward. I don't see a situation in which you could get him starting, because if you sign that veteran quarterback, which the Jets will obviously do, the plan, even if it's Aaron Rodgers, you're going to have him from probably 2 to 3 years. I don't see a situation in which you could pick up Zach Wilson's fifth-year option. He will most likely be traded. There's just no room on the team for somebody like Zach Wilson in the upcoming years. So that's going to pretty much wrap it up. I feel like that's all really the most important things that Joe Douglas said during his press conference. Like I said, that second meeting with Derek Carr will be happening sometime later this week during the combine, so stay tuned for that. If you guys like this video or got something positive out of this video, a thumbs up is always appreciated. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel here. We love having you. We have a brand new podcast coming out live tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern, so stick around for that. I am Liam, host of the Everything NYJ podcast. Thank you guys for watching. We'll talk Jets soon. Have a good one.